You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 6, 2023 meeting of the Long Beach Fire Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
This is the Fire Commission meeting for April 6th, 2023. We have in attendance, starting from my left, Tom Yem, Fire Chief with the department, John Wall, Town Council, Mike Johnstone, Town Council Representative, and Mr. John Coker on the end, Town Council Representative. We've got an agenda out. We'll just bust through it real quick. Apologize for any confusion on the time of the meeting. My recollection was that we were at 5:30. We can talk about that at the end. If we want to go to 5, we can certainly change that back. We did get the police commission meeting out of the way at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and that was done by 4:30. So we could certainly move forward if we want to. Sure. Public safety building was on the first agenda item. Design process is moving along. We did get a little bit of good news with the state return some communication back on the septic system. We had to submit one more form down there, and so that is a process that's continuing to progress. And we hope to have some more information from them. And once that's back, then the local guys get involved, and we should be able to get an imprimatur on what we're trying to do with the septic, which is a good thing. The design in general, I hope to have more to offer you this evening. Right now, we're scheduled for our next design progress meeting on, it's May. Sorry, I don't know that right at the top of my head. Okay. May 3rd. So May 3rd at 10 o'clock is the next design meeting or progress meeting with the contractor. In terms of what's gone on since then, we've had meetings and talked about things like the telephones, the audiovisual, the communication and networking equipment for computerization and that sort of thing. Mark's been intimately involved. Mark Swistek, the chief of police, has been intimately involved in security systems, which he'd like to see X number of cameras in and on the building. We're lucky now. We found out we think we don't have to have site lighting with individual light poles. We can probably light up the parking lot, which is the parking lot between the two buildings, between the town hall and the new building, with lights on the building. So that would fill the requirements for the code on specific lighting requirements for a parking lot, and we won't have to have, I don't think, mass lighting separate, which will be good help on the cost.
I'm sorry, John, in terms of percentage of drawings, when are we going to be at 100%, and when are we going to know what our total costs are?
Yeah, we should be, I think at this meeting coming up, we'll be very close to that. Their drawings. So the biggest tickets are the HVAC and the plumbing and the electric. And that's all been the design has progressed to the point where they'll have good tight numbers. In fact, we actually got a preliminary quote back in from the HVAC guy already. So he's pretty much iced. So the big ticket items, we should be in a position, I would think, by that May 3rd meeting to be able to have our 100% drawings, and at least very close to 100% drawings and some good cost numbers.
As far as you're concerned, we're in the ballpark of 2.5.
Yeah, we're still approaching that right now. There's a few things that have changed in terms of the design, and these are some of the things we need to speak to with the council. We're in the interest of aesthetics. We went with some stone facade on 2 of the sides of the building. So those costs implicate south and the west, John. Yeah. And at the last progress meeting, one of the adjacent homeowners, Cheryl and Kevin Flemington were there, and they were, very interested in what was going to happen on their side. So we talked about that, and we talked about having low lighting facing that side. So, but again, some of these aesthetic items and things like the phones and how much security and all that, we're not necessarily in the original numbers, but we'll have those all isolated out. And things like the aesthetics for the stone, we can, we'll be able to see what those specifically cost. And if there's something we want to, massage or drop out or add in or whatever, we'll be able to do that. Mike, it'll all be itemized.
So the $60,000 for the exhaust systems that we reduce costs on is still hard.
Yeah, that hasn't changed. So we
I mean,
think
that went down 60 grand, right?
approximately, yeah, from our original estimate. But again, like I say, there's other things that we've added because of aesthetics and some of the other things, presentability. So there'll be some ups and downs, but you'll have the access to all that stuff. I hope to give it to you before, certainly before the May meeting of the town council. I hope you'll have everything that we've discussed here. So
What would really be helpful is if we could look at a side by side, line by line of the 30%, original 2.5 million, and then look next to it and say, all right, here's the things that have changed. And we can then talk about those variances. That would be very helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're planning on doing.
Okay.
All these costs include the finished product of the interior, like the walls.
Absolutely, John. Yeah, the intent was to have a completed structure we could just walk in and start use. So just to give you an idea, we're going to have switches such that when you walk out of a room, they'll go off. You see those at libraries and schools and those kinds of things. So we're going to have those kinds of things. We're going to have drops for the trucks, whether we can fill the trucks from a water line that's inside the station. The water line, the site work, we've already gone over quite a bit of that now in terms of how that's going to work, where everything will be. We've talked to Greg at the water department. We've already got some paperwork downstate. You may have seen some of that come through on an email where Bob had to sign a form to keep that process rolling, but you have to get a state permit when you put a new line in like that. So much similar to the septics. So all that's moving along just fine.
The drop thing for the Donald Trust, I asked about that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and they didn't think they were going to do it.
It's just a 2-inch line.
Yeah.
The other, that's it. That's the other thing about the exhaust system there as well for the 2 diesel trucks that would hang overhead that would plug into the diesel exhaust. And that's, so we're looking for that's more of a safety thing. And a sprinkler system as well as going in.
Yeah, the sprinkler system is not required by code, but we feel a little, the fire department should have, well, the town, I guess, should promote that, in terms of safety and that. We've got it in this building, we've got it in the town garage, so we kind of felt like, so that's another one of those items that'll be lined out. Again, comparing the apples to apples to the original proposal and what we've got now. Any other design questions you guys had? As soon as we get those new drawings, I'll kick them to you. We just haven't, they haven't been completed yet. We had an intermediate set last meeting a couple of weeks ago, but I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense to get those to you too. Financing, I think everybody in the room is somewhat aware, but we'll run through it real quick. Sender, apparently right now, he's got a proposal from Horizon Bank and a proposal from some bank called First Merchants, which I believe is in Indianapolis, maybe. So he's got a bond proposal and a bank proposal right now. A couple of the banks did not return proposals. And my understanding, and I think, John, you've spoken to Carl, there is some information on the Horizon, the revised Horizon letter that
Right.
Carl needs to refine before he gives us his opinion. And then I know if you want to speak real quick about what you're doing with Baker Tilly, because I know that's moving
Look
on.
at the stuff where Bob finally sent me is the authorization to proceed with engagement with them. Just this morning, word that I need to be able to tell us, know if they're going to get paid, no, hello.
Know that they're going to get paid, authorization to prepare this report. She asked, when do we want it? I said, well, we're going to have a town council meeting Monday. And I said, I realize that's going to push you. If you can't do it by Monday, just get it as soon as you can. I would have liked to been a little farther ahead on this by now. And that's just the way it is.
What's the timeline of decision for this financing option? I mean, we have
Before we answer that question, there was a resident who's with Center Bank who I think sent something to all the town council members saying that Center was interested in proposing, making a proposal. And has anybody followed up with them?
Absolutely. We contacted her. I talked to
They
her.
took a pass.
Yeah. They took a pass.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I talked to her
I
on the
had seen
phone.
it be nice.
Talked to her on the phone, and then she said she was very interested. We sent her the same packet that all the other banks were sent, and then for some reason they decided the indication seems to be that on the bank financing side, going out to 20 years is a little problematic. I think that scares them off a little bit. And then I think on the bonding side, we're just not that big of a nut. I don't know that the squirrels pay too much attention to the small nut that we are, I guess. That's my impression. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
My question is just time, do we have a timeline for when the decision needs to be made or, soon, we get all these proposals?
Well, it's gonna be gonna be helpful to know when we get a septic permit and the final proposal on what the building is gonna look like and what it's gonna be, and you gotta get a building permit.
Yeah, I guess we're doing the analysis of bond versus bank. When is the decision?
Oh, that would probably be made fairly soon.
That's what I was, we got all the data, just curious, when that decision happens.
Well, I think it'll be presented at the meeting on Monday, the town council meeting, and then whether or not Baker Tilly's gonna have any information for us yet, might be a little premature for them on Monday, but if we wait for their analysis and it's sometime shortly thereafter, we probably have to hold another meeting to make the decision, so.
Yeah.
I think Carl, if he gets information from Verizon, at least he'll be able to make a recommendation based.
He's got the Verizon's information.
Well, I think there was something that he needed from them
They might have
to refine it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I saw that email.
So then he'll make a recommendation, hopefully before Monday evening, and then we'll at least have his and then get some confirmation from Baker Tilly shortly thereafter. If not, then, and then we'll be able to make that decision and pull the trigger. My understanding is the bond process schedule has not been negatively impacted yet because we've authorized these intermediate steps like the resolution and some of that other stuff. So if we do decide to go with the bonds, I think we're still online from what Carl explained to me. We can refine this, but I think we're still online from May to get the proceeds in the event we pull that trigger. And then I think we were led to believe that the bank financing would be at least that quick if we pull the trigger on it, right, Jen?
Right, I know, the bank, when we initially talked to
Gertner?
it said different things that they require, but then on his revised proposal, there's not a whole lot of things they're gonna require. Yeah, we'll see the budget at the end of the year and the financials and, pretty much standard stuff, looked to me like. Not gonna be anything that's gonna be a big expense.
So there's an outside chance we'll have enough information to make a decision Monday. It's just as likely that if Baker Tilly can't get it that quick, it might take them a
It
week.
wouldn't surprise me if they get me something here pretty soon. I'm sure they're busy on other things too, so.
Yeah. So, and then the last item on there, the payments prior to the bond proceeds, I think we're all aware, the council authorized that first payment. There has been a little change to the second one. Originally, we were under the impression that we were going to have a second payment of around 25,000. And the way it looks right now, Holiday's HVAC guy was able to procure, I should say, one of the HVAC units that was on the shelf rather than waiting for lead time issues or supply chain issues. He went ahead and purchased that on our behalf. So that's going to show up on this other invoice. So that new invoice for the end of April billing, which will be due in May, is, the end of March invoice that's due at the end of April will approach 100. So we're going to be looking at, we already paid 50. We just recently cut that check. That was the February. And now we will have the March invoicing due at the end of April for approximately 100. And that will have to come out of town proceeds, just like the first 50,000. So that was a bit of a change, but I think it was advantageous to go ahead and have them purchase that units rather than taking a risk on cost increases. Building corporation, that's kind of a done deal. I talked to Chris a couple of days ago. He said he's got to have a meeting with those three individuals just to formalize everything in terms of some steps. He's going to get a hold of Shanahan.
Just to go back, circle back a second. When are you gonna file a application with the building commission for a building permit?
Well, we thought we ought to have drawings that reflected the actual project. And as soon as we get those, we've got an interim set, but I think we're so close to having the right ones. I kind of hated to give, the building commission a set that wasn't reflective. Like right now, we finalized the site work drawings and the building drawings are pretty. So the only thing we were waiting on was just getting a set that was reflective enough of the project that when we gave it to the building commission, that it wasn't something that was gonna change dramatically. I think we're at that point right now. So,
But I don't know what the time frame is gonna be, but we'll have a building commission meeting, this tomorrow, I guess.
I'll get a hold of Holiday. It could be that we could get that in by then. We've been communicating with the building commissioner as well, just to keep him in a loop so we knew what was coming.
Right, I know, he knows.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah. So again, right now, we were trying to get as much as we could together before we gave it to you, so that if people had questions, that particularly on the site work, because I think that's one of the things that everybody's gonna be interested in on your end. The building itself isn't really changing. We changed the openings around a little bit, and that's old news now, so that can all be iced. The building facade, then the stonework and all that, that was a change as of a couple of weeks back, so that'll be on the new drawings now, so you'll have all of that, and I can check with them and find out exactly what needs to be.
On the facade and everything, what about the north end of the building? I mean, that's where a lot of residents, right?
The thought up there, and we actually have had some conversation, I think I might have shared that with you before. I've had conversations with both of those homeowners there, the one that is closer to St. Lawrence, and then the one that has the home that goes back in. Those are the two adjacent properties there. And what I promised them was at the point where we start the landscape design, they could be involved. We're gonna put some, like landscaping up there to accommodate them. In terms of the one that's got the driveway, he intended to pave his. We're gonna put a little kick out there for his garbage cans and also for the plows to kick the snow out, rather than him having to deal with any kind of snow issues on his driveway. So we've got them in the loop. We'll keep them in the loop. But with the landscape design is one of the last things we have to work on.
On the east side, there's not any house.
There's a fence along there right now.
The other house is more up here,
They'll be facing the parking lot.
Right.
Yeah.
like they are now.
There, and in fact, I told the one homeowner that was concerned, she was concerned about privacy issues. I said, you're really gonna be in better shape now because there won't be any parking in that lot, because that's gotta be Xed off for the trucks to pull out. So you really won't have any parking next to your house like you have now. The one on St. Lawrence. I think they're gonna be in better shape as far as noise and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's it for the building, unless you guys have any questions. Okay. Fire truck purchase, that's just an ongoing item. We do have the one proposal, and I have not spoken to Mark since our last meeting about whether that other bank is gonna get involved. Maybe we need to do, I don't know if that's, maybe Mike, you could enlighten us. I don't know if there's another way to approach banks on that kind of thing.
Is Centaur interested in that also, or
I don't know what they do about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
or is Verizon the one that's?
The only proposal we have right now on the financing for the truck is Verizon. But Mark had another bank that Funiac had used prior for.
Oh, yeah.
Equipment purchase. And Mark contacted him a couple of times. We expected him to give us. We sent them the truck specific information and everything so that they could quote it. We haven't heard back yet, so. But we could contact.
We wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't be cutting a check for them for another year and a half. Well, how are we gonna know what to charge?
Well, that's what I say. I mean, it'd be nice if you could get somebody to commit, and
Yeah, well, the way interest is, interest rates could be higher in 2 years, it could be cheaper, you don't know.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not a hot item in terms of time frame, but we don't want to lose sight of it. I mean, sometime in the next year, somebody's got to pick up the ball. That's,
Yeah, I don't think we need.
might be the next administration as far as that goes.
Yeah, I will be, because I don't see what. I don't think any banks would commit for well in 18 months from now. And I mean, they might say, yeah, we'll be glad to loan in money at whenever they go on ratings,
right.
which. But anyway,
So that's all I had on that. And then what do you guys, do you have anything else that you want to discuss or questions or anything?
No.
Then it's just a question of whether this, if I screwed up on the time frame or what the deal is. What do you want to do on the time
I
frame?
like to do it at 5 o'clock myself.
Me too.
That's on me.
Okay. I will change it to 5.
Do we know if we got any bids on the Suburban?
I don't think the deadline is.
Deadline Monday. You guys, Monday, town council meeting, you're opening them up.
Oh, okay, so that's,
Serious,
yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen anything, so.
Mark would get them, like, we would get it.
Yeah, we would get it, so.
So if Mark's got them, I bet I don't know.
All right.
All right, any questions from the crowd out there? I don't see anybody. Do we want to, do we want to continue monthly? I mean, the police commission went to quarterly, and I think with this project going on, we should probably stay monthly, but. Okay, okay. All right, we'll stay on monthly. Night, everybody.